Hi, Phanessa here. In this video I am going to demonstrate how to knit this slouch beanie here. So this is a pretty easy pattern. It just uses mostly knits and purls, and then we have the long knit stitches here. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so for this tutorial I'm going to use one ball of super bulky weight yarn. This is Lion Brand's Wool Ease Thick and Quick, and this is the color Coney Island. And you'll need a 16-inch circular needle. I'm using US 13 9mm and a US 15 10mm. I'm actually going to be knitting with this one, but I already have it on my project. So the US 13 is used for the brim, and then the US 15 is used for the body of the beanie. You'll need a stitch marker. You can use one that you can remove, or you could use other ones. I'll leave a link for this DIY stitch marker. You'll need a pair of scissors, a large eye tapestry needle, and a tape measure. If you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe for knitting and crochet videos. Also, if you want to skip to a specific part of the tutorial, timestamps are provided in the description box as well. All right, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start with our smaller needle size, US 13, and you want to cast on an even number of stitches. For the adult size that I'm making, I'm casting on 42. So I'm just using the long tail cast on method, and I'm going to cast on 42 stitches. I've casted on 42 stitches. I'm going to join my round. Lay your work flat to make sure they're not twisted like this. So you want to make sure that your stitches are not twisted. So I'm going to join with the invisible joining method, so I will need to cast on one more stitch. Just make sure your stitches are not twisted again. So you're going to grab a stitch from this side, slip it off as if to purl, and then this stitch here, we're going to slip this stitch over the stitch that we just slipped over and drop it. Okay, so there's the extra stitch that we casted on. Now you want to just place your marker, and we're going to work a 1x1 ribbing. We're going to start with a knit through back loop. Okay, first stitch right through the back loop. You want to knit and then purl the next. Knit the next stitch through back loop and purl the next. So you're going to repeat that all the way around. So I've completed the first round. You're going to move your marker and then repeat the last round until you have about 6 or 7 rounds of your brim. So I've completed my brim, and we're ready to start the main portion of the beanie. So you want to switch your needles out to US 15 10mm. I already went ahead and did that. So for the first round, we're going to purl all stitches. So you're just going to purl every stitch around. Now for rounds 2 and 3, you're just going to knit every stitch all the way around. So 2 rounds of just knit stitches. Okay, so now for rounds 4 and 5, we're going to purl every stitch all the way around. So the next 2 rounds are just purl stitches. For round 6, we're going to knit every stitch around. For round 7, we're going to start with knit 2, 1, 2. Now we're going to work a long knit stitch. So we're going to insert our needle in the very first round. So if you stretch this, you can see the stitches. So your first round was a purl round. So we're going to count 6 rounds down. This garter stitch here is rounds 1 and 2. So starting with this one, this is your last round. You're going to count, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 and 6. So right above this purl bump is your first round. So a quick tip before you work your long stitch, make sure you tug on the working yarn so that you tighten this stitch. And then when you go to grab your long stitch, just keep it tight. And then I'm holding on to this stitch here. And then when I pull this up, I want to let go of the working yarn so I can pull a tall loop. And I'm still holding on to the last stitch here. Okay. And then I'm going to knit these 2 together through the back loops. Okay, so that just reduces the amount of gap that happens right before you work the long stitch. So we're going to insert our needle into the first round, and then we're going to grab our working yarn, lift it up and all the way up here. Okay, now you want to place this long loop here back on your needle, and then you're going to knit these 2 stitches together through the back loop. So you want to insert your needle through both loops and through the back. The stitch pattern I was following doesn't say to knit through the back loop, but as I was working the stitches, I noticed that the knit stitches here sort of blocks the long stitch. So if you knit through the back loop, you can see the stitch much better. So now I'm going to knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to work the long stitch again. So into the first round, right here, right above the purl bump, insert your needle, grab your working yarn, pull up a tall loop. Okay, make sure you do that, otherwise it's going to look funny. Place it back on this needle here, and then you're going to knit these 2 stitches together through the back loop. Now repeat all the way around. Knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then long stitch. Insert your needle into the first round and pull up a tall loop. Place it on the needle, and then you're going to knit 2 together through the back loop. So you're going to end with 3 stitches. Just go ahead and knit the last 3 stitches. For rounds 8 and 9, we're going to purl every stitch around. Oh, I'm at my last stitch. So that was 2 rounds of purl stitches. For round 10, we're going to knit every stitch around. And then on round 11, we're going to work the long stitch again. Okay, now we are ready for round 11. For round 11, we're going to knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on the 6th stitch, we're going to work the long stitch. Now we're going back 6 rounds below. So we're counting down 6 rounds, and it's going to be the space, the stitch, right above this purl bump here. Okay, so pull up your long loop, and then you're going to knit these two together through the back loops. So insert your needle through both loops in the back, and then you want to knit these 2 stitches together. So the repeat is knit 5, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And long knit stitch 6 rounds below. Pull up a tall loop, place it on your needle, and then knit 2 together through the back loop. Okay, just repeat that all the way around. For round 12, you're just going to purl every stitch around. Okay, so I just completed round 12. So you're going to repeat rounds 5 through 12 until it's about 2 to 3 inches above the top of your head. So you want to stop after round 5, and you're measuring from the bottom of the brim. So mine measures about 10 inches. Okay, so what you're going to do for the first round of decrease is knit 2, and then knit 2 together. Okay, so then you're just going to repeat knit 2 together all the way around. So I have 2 stitches left. I'm just going to go ahead and knit the last 2 stitches. Okay, for round 2 of decrease, I'm going to knit 2, 1, 2. So right here, I'm going to work a long stitch. So this was knit 2 together. So if you look down here, it actually goes both ways. You want to look at the last one that was worked and then go up. Okay, I'm just following this stitch here. So 6 rounds below right here, following this stitch here. Work my long stitch, knit 2 together through the back loop. Now I'm going to knit 3. And then I'm going to work a long stitch here. Okay. So what I'm doing is just looking for the next stitch that corresponds with the last long stitch that I made. So knit these 2 together through the back loops. So knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. A long stitch here. Again, this one is a knit 2 together stitch, so we're going to look at the last one and then just go up there and insert your needle above this stitch here to work your long stitch. Now I'm going to knit 3 and then work a long stitch here. And knit them together. Now I'm going to knit 4, Now if your stitches don't match up with mine, depending on where you stopped, the quickest way to figure out where to work your long stitch and how many to knit in between, again, is look for the last set that corresponds with the row that you're working on. So this was the last set, but this one is going to match with this one because they're staggered. So I would follow the last stitch, long stitch from down here. So skip one long stitch round and then go down to the next set, and then you can see this stitch here, and then right above it is this one, and then this one, and then this is the space that you're going to work into, and that corresponds with this one. This stitch and this stitch are the knit two together up here, and then work a long stitch here. Knit 1, 2, 3, and then right here in the next stitch work a long stitch. So knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and work a long stitch. And then knit the remaining stitches. 1, 2. Our last round of decrease is just going to be knit 1 and knit 2 together. Knit 1 and knit 2 together. So repeat knit 1 and knit 2 together all the way around, and knit any remaining stitches. Okay, so now I'm going to cut my yarn, and I'm going to grab my tapestry needle, and then you're going to slip each of these stitches off. Just insert your needle into these stitches and then just pull them off. Okay, so just pull it tight. And then insert your needle back into this hole here. I'm going to run my needles around this center part here just to tighten it some more. I'm going to run it across as well, just to give it a little bit extra security. So when you're ready to tie off, just insert it about halfway, wrap your yarn around, holding the base, pull that through. That just ties your knot. You can leave the tail if you're going to add a pom. And then don't forget to weave in your beginning tail as well. So if you're going to make a yarn pom-pom, I'll leave a link for you to watch the tutorial if you need. I also have a DIY for one of these. I actually purchased this one, but I do have a tutorial if you want to make your own. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe for future videos. I'll see you next time.